This is a News Source 13 election special. 2000, the vote.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jenny Ryan.
And I'm Don Elhard. Welcoming you to our continuing coverage of 2000, the vote. We'll be here throughout the night to bring you, along with ABC News, the most complete election coverage here in the history of Rochester. And I mentioned the word history, and in effect, we will be making history here in Rochester ourselves tonight. News Source 13 is going to be broadcasting the first ever internet continuous election coverage. That's going to begin at 9 o'clock tonight. All you have to do is just dial up our website, rochestertoday.com, and you can watch our election special. That will begin live continuous coverage at 9 o'clock. We will be here just to keep you posted throughout ABC's coverage tonight at 22 minutes and 52 minutes after every hour to keep you posted on some of the local returns, but live on the internet as well.
And we invite you to interact with us, too. You can send us an email, and we can get to that during that live webcast. Well, the polls are for just about another hour and a half in New York, but when we get our first numbers, this is how you're going to see them on News Source 13. Our 2000 election night ticker will run all night after the polls close. Just watch for the races at the bottom third of your television screen. That's where we'll have the numbers for you.
Obviously, the big race that people are watching. ABC is covering the presidential race. A lot of people, of course, interested in that. The one race here in New York State, the historic Senate race, and we say historic, the first time ever that a sitting First Lady has run for public office, and doing so here in New York State.
And of course, she is running against Republican Rick Lazio, a congressman from downstate New York. He arrived at his party headquarters in New York City just a few minutes ago. We have pictures of Congressman Lazio arriving to well-wishers in New York City. He will spend the night there at the Roosevelt Hotel and await the election night results with his family and party members. That is New York City.
Yeah, and that's where Peter Robbins is. Peter Robbins will be covering things from the Lazio headquarters in New York City. We have crews in New York City for both the Lazio and Hillary Clinton campaigns, as well as crews here in Rochester, Republican and Democratic headquarters.
We'll check in right now with News Source 13's Peter Robbins in New York City.
Good evening. I'm Peter Robbins in New York City. You know, last week during a Rick Lazio campaign stop in Rochester, Arizona Senator John McCain characterized this contest by saying, "The eyes of the world are on this race." He appears to have been right. Media from all over the nation and really from all over the world are in place, waiting for word on how this Senate race will turn out. Speaking of turnout, we are hearing it has been very high here in New York City and really across the state. We will be here in New York City throughout the evening bringing you updates from Lazio headquarters at the Roosevelt Hotel until this race is concluded.
All right, Peter Robbins, who will be following things for us in New York City tonight.
And from Peter, we go to News Source 13's Brian Washington covering the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Mrs. Clinton is expected to be here at about 7 o'clock. We understand that she is going to be attending a small gathering with her supporters. Now, Sandra Frankel, Brighton Town Supervisor, is included in that gathering. The mood here is rather optimistic as well as exciting. They are hoping that this will be an evening that ends in victory. We will be here throughout the evening with live updates. Reporting live from the Hillary Clinton campaign in New York City, I'm Brian Washington, News Source 13.
Sandra Frankel, of course, the Brighton Town Supervisor, hosting the First Lady at least once, I think maybe a couple of times when she came to town to visit.
Overnight at her house.
Yeah.
So she won't be at the Democratic headquarters downtown tonight, but News Source 13's Patrice Walsh is there for the party, and Patrice has the latest from there.
Nobody's here right now but us. A lot of reporters waiting, but we do have campaign signs, and we have music, and guess what they're playing? Celebration. They are anticipating a night of wins from the presidency on down. Very important county court race. They want Judge Bristol to hang on to his seat. Some key assembly races we're going to be following, and we'll be here when some people arrive and have more for you later on.
All right, News Source 13's Patrice Walsh at the Democratic headquarters.
Jane Flash standing by now at the Republican headquarters. They got set up a little early. I'm not sure we're going to judge results based on who set up their party room.
Well, they certainly hope you can judge the results for that. Some folks actually have arrived here, Don. We spoke to someone from the Board of Elections who tells us the turnout, voter turnout in the suburbs is much higher than in the city. That is seen as good for some key Republican races. One of them we want to highlight in Webster's, Sean Hanna, who is hoping to unseat Assemblyman David Kuhn. We spoke to Sean Hanna by phone just a couple of minutes ago. He said he spent most of the day working the phones. He voted himself at 10:30. When he did that, he thought about the campaign and how it went. He said it was very hard fought, but he said it was positive, it was upbeat, and he feels good about it, and he feels good about tonight.
That's one of 3 big races for the State Assembly that we'll be watching closely along with the others. Jane Flash at GOP headquarters.
And I want to remind you, we'll be working with our partners, WXXI Television and Radio, throughout the evening, checking in with our Voice of the Voter panel, some of the people who have assembled for this election night.
And we'll be back in a moment with Doug Embledge.
The new Tran Path from Toyo. All-season performance. Outstanding wet traction. A smoother ride with less bounce. And it looks so good. You'll never want to get it dirty. Toyo Tires. Driven to perform.
Find the Toyo Tire dealer nearest you. Call Midtown Tire at 1-800-88-TIRES.
I love toys. I love big toys, little toys, loud toys, quiet toys, Walmart's toys.
Bicycles, a car.
Every corner, every aisle, new item here, new item there.
Hoochie! Hot Wheels, a Barbie Jeep, and a Barbie bicycle.
We're getting so many new items, over 1,000.
That's a lot.
Tell you, a toy that'll be on every kid's list is the scooter. They're hot, hot, hot. We've got a new line of toys called Kid Connection. It's huge.
Wow!
Kids love the toys, parents love the prices.
Pretty cool, huh?
Wednesday only. Raymore and Flanagan Furniture presents something wonderful. A monumental event when special price day at Raymore and Flanagan Furniture.
Throughout the evening, Doug Embledge will join us with exit poll results.
And of course, live on the web beginning at 9 o'clock. We'll be back at 52 minutes after the hour with more of Election 2000.
News Source 13. More local news, more local experience.
This is an ABC News special, The 2000 Vote. Now reporting from New York, Peter Jennings.
Welcome back to our coverage of Election 2000, ABC News election headquarters here in...
Press with Steve Malone. He was very easy to talk to, and he listened well.
So it's important for all of us to listen well and to cooperate. Every day you're building your future.
Individually, they are standouts in their respect.
This is a national sales alert from Dodge. Effective immediately for 5 full years. Get 0 APR on 2000 Dodge Stratus and Intrepid, 0.9 APR on 2000 Dodge Dakota and Durango, and 4.9 APR on select all-new 2001 Dodge Caravans. See your Dodge dealer immediately, as 60-month financing can save you over $5,600.
See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
From 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., we're paying for bandwidth that we are not using.
Why?
Why? We're paying for something we're not using?
Why do we accept things the way they are?
If we have a problem, other people do too. There's our market.
Why can't we sell the bandwidth to other companies?
Make it a commodity.
Like a pork belly.
Before you see another doctor,
your husband died of cardiac arrest a few hours ago.
See this.
A patient comes in healthy, we send him out dead.
You're having a heart attack. You made a mistake.
You left the patient. You left the patient?
Yes.
Did you care about this patient?
Yes.
Then why'd you fight for him?
All new Gideon's Crossing. ABC Wednesday, 10/9 Central.
This is a News Source 13 Election Special 2000, The Vote.
Good evening, I'm Don Allard, along with Ginny Ryan, keeping you company tonight as we bring you the local returns. About an hour and 8 minutes now till the polls close here. Plenty of time for people to get out and vote, and then we'll bring the returns. And quite a few people getting out.
Yeah, among the numbers we're watching are the numbers for voter turnout. As of 6 o'clock, it was about 53%, but think about people coming home from work, they'll be a lot higher, and we'll get the latest numbers at 8 o'clock before the polls close at 9.
As I recall the breakdown, it was about 44% turnout in the city, 57% or so outside the city in the counting. So, you know, a good turnout, probably a couple percentage points above what we've seen in the most recent presidential balloting, anyway.
Right now, we're going to go to New York City, where News Source 13's Peter Robbins is covering the campaign of Rick Lazio at the Roosevelt Hotel. Peter, what's going on there?
Well, Ginny, the crowd has started to arrive here at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. The room is starting to fill up here at Rick Lazio's headquarters. Rick Lazio himself has arrived. He got here a few hours ago. We are told he is energetic and upbeat this evening on what is sure to be a very tense night for both him and everyone associated with his campaign staff. Now, as you just said a few moments ago, the polls, of course, have not yet closed, but we're already starting to hear what perhaps could be considered a little bit of second guessing coming from some people that might be associated with the Lazio campaign. We've heard some people wondering about how things could have been different for Rick Lazio if he had gotten in this race at the very beginning and not 6 months ago when New York City Mayor Rudolph Giuliani dropped out of the race because of health concerns. We are also hearing, Ginny, possibly some questions about the tone of this campaign in recent weeks and maybe how things might have been different if it had been more issue-oriented instead of more character-oriented. But, of course, we don't exactly know how this is going to come out yet. We should know in a couple hours what happens after the polls close in about an hour and 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's not the kind of mood you'd expect from people who don't really know if they won or lost yet. They're saying a lot of what-ifs. There's still a chance that they could win, right?
Well, certainly, there's definitely a chance that this can win. I mean, this is going to be a very tight race, but we are hearing a little bit of second guessing. Who knows how that'll play out? We'll have to wait and see what the numbers say.
All right, News Source 13's Peter Robbins live in New York City. We'll be checking with you throughout the evening. News Source 13's Brian Washington is covering the Hillary campaign as well in New York City tonight.
We're keeping our eye on the wire here. According to AP, just moments ago, it looks as though Al Gore has taken Florida, one of the key states that Bush needed in order to win. Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, those being watched very closely. Polls closing earlier, although there were some people still in line down there.
And they decided to keep the polls open, but they officially closed at 7 o'clock. Our polls open for another hour in New York State.
And we will be back in just a moment. First, we want to remind you of the power of one vote.
Now, we'll do whatever it takes, plus give you a TV or VCR for the holidays with any new 2000. Marketplace, West Henrietta Road.
Joey reveals a different side.
My neighbor knitting potholes.
His softer side.
You're turning into a woman.
That about says it all.
Why would you say that? That's just mean.
Now I've upset you? What did I say?
Not what you said, it's just the way you said it.
But when you say Ross...
What happened to your teeth?
I whitened them.
Yes, what was wrong with your old human teeth? You're saying a mouthful.
What's the matter with you?
You can see them, huh?
The next Friends.
Friends, tomorrow at 7, only on 13.
At Clover this weekend, over 500 brand-name Slate pool tables, plus bars and bar stools, will be offered to the public at incredible savings. Even bigger savings are available on slightly distressed pool tables, purchased from the factory at 30 to 70 cents on the dollar. Right now, a regulation-size Slate pool table is only $8.58. An antique-style table is just $11.88. Plus, purchase any pool table, bar stools, or game table, and you'll get no payment, no interest financing for 6 months. But hurry! Price and selection are only guaranteed until Monday, 8 p.m. and only at Clover.
For the latest weather information, call the Weatherline Forecast Service, sponsored by the Shopping Bag and updated by News Source 13's weather team at 334-0013. RochesterToday.com. Updated 5 times a day, 7 days a week. RochesterToday.com. More local news, more local experience.
The New York Lotto jackpot is now $10 million. Well, let me tell you, it's a ton of money.
The New York Lotto jackpot is now $10 million. You in?
We've been watching things on the wire as well. We mentioned a moment ago AP saying that Al Gore has taken Florida. As that comes in, automatically people now begin to say, well, why did that happen? Who responded to who when they were down there? And we're going to be taking a look at why people vote throughout this whole night.
Exit polling plays a big part in every presidential election, and News Source 13's Doug Gamble just keeping an eye on what people coming out of the polls in New York State are saying with our voter news service.
Yeah, I am camped out by the computer, Don and Ginny, and it will be all evening long, and we are able to, well, you guys have the numbers, and I will be able to look at maybe some of the whys and the whos behind the numbers. This voter news service that I am linked into allows allows me to break down the vote, who's voting for Hillary Clinton, who's voting for Rick Lazio in terms of ethnic background or, you know, male, female, or party affiliation, that kind of thing. And it really is interesting. I mean, there's so many questions going into this election night, so much suspense, that these kind of numbers are going to, even for people who don't normally follow politics closely, we're going to be able to watch that stuff and I think find some stuff of interest. I'm also, if I can, try to keep the two of you on your toes tonight. I've been doing some exhaustive research tonight, and I have a question for you, a little political trivia. Either Rick Lazio or Hillary Clinton is going to replace Daniel Patrick Moynihan in the Senate. Whom did Moynihan defeat in 1976 for that very same Senate seat?
Right,
this is a $2,000 question.
Our desks are way too close in the newsroom for me not to have heard the answer. And we were kind of discussing the history of this particular seat because he held on to it for 25 years.
Yeah. And it was?
James Buckley, right?
It was James Buckley, right?
Your desk is way too close.
We're all too close.
Well, the interesting thing about Buckley was that he won in 70 as a conservative, which I don't think has happened before or since in New York State. He won strictly on the conservative line and then ran again in 76 as a Republican conservative, but it was Moynihan who beat him, and Moynihan himself barely avoided a five-way primary to win that seat. So there's a lot of history in that Senate seat that tonight will either go to Rick Lazio or Hillary Clinton. I'm going to watch this computer here and see what it tells me throughout the evening.
You know what'll be interesting? It won't come up all of that information on that computer, but at least and looking back is to compare this race with Bobby Kennedy when he ran for U.S. Senate. It's a lot of the same circumstances in terms of the carpetbagger issues and somebody from being outside. And as we analyze the vote, seeing how it might compare if they did that kind of research back then.
To that, I will check into that. I have the world at my fingertips.
All right, we'll check back with Doug Emmons in the newsroom throughout the night.
As well as our reporters at Democratic and Republican headquarters locally.
Not only here, but in New York City as well. Rick Lazio's headquarters and Hillary Clinton as well will have live reports throughout the night and here on the web as well.
Coming up in about just 20 more minutes. We'll see you then.
News Source 13 at rochestertoday.com.
Whoever wins tonight will surround themselves with top advisors. Shouldn't you? Move your money. Get well connected.
Looking to save more and spend less this holiday season? With the Chrysler Holiday Sale, you can do just that. Because now you can save over $2,300 when you buy a new 2001 Town & Country with 4.9% financing. Or choose a $299 lease on the award-winning 2001 Chrysler Voyager. So take advantage of the Chrysler Holiday Sale today for savings that let you spend more on a real holiday priority, yourself.
Welcome, analysts. This was a challenging fiscal year for the company. Due to unpredictable weather, earnings are down. Welcome, analysts. But as everyone knows, you can't predict the weather. There's nothing you can do about it.
She graduated from Radcliffe. She wrote 13 books, met 13 presidents, and toured vaudeville. She won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. She was deaf and blind. Her name? Helen Keller. Coming to ABC, The Miracle Worker, Sunday 7, 6 Central.
This is a News Source 13 Election Special. 2000, The Vote.
Good evening, everyone. Jenny Ryan along with Don Elhart. Watching the local races, we've got our reporters all through town and New York City covering the U.S. Senate races as well, bringing you the latest results.
Almost a little frustrating right now. We've got another 40 minutes or so before the polls close here. We're getting all of these returns coming in, just looking at some of the latest, as you have, on ABC with Bush about 9 states now, Gore 8 states, very close as far as electoral votes, but of course a long way to go, and a long way to go here because the polls don't close until 9 o'clock, at which point we're going to be live continuously on rochestertoday.com. So if you have your computer handy at home and want continuous local coverage, all you have to do is dial us up, rochestertoday.com. We'll be on from 9 until 11 on Channel 13 as well at 22 and 52 after the hour.
It's also a chance for us to speak more in depth to our reporters who are at different locations, Democratic headquarters in town, Republican headquarters in town, maybe hear from candidates there. Among the reporters out at the GOP headquarters, Jane Flash. Jane, we're really keeping an eye on what 3 hotly contested assembly races and, of course, the county court contest. Is that pretty much the feeling there as well?
Most definitely. Those are the races that they're really looking closely at. But I want to tell you a little something first. The phone here rang just a couple of minutes ago. We answered it. Somebody on the other line asked us if we had gone out and voted today. These races are so close that the Republicans are now calling the Republican headquarters to make sure that everyone got out there and voted today. A high voter turnout will mean a lot to those local races that you talked about. 3 different state assembly races, the county judgeship, which is also up, also means a lot to Rick Lazio. We talked today, his upstate campaign manager made a stop here a short time ago. The votes aren't all in yet, but already there's a little bit of second guessing going on. Did he do enough to bring his message upstate? Did he show up enough here in Rochester? Seems like he was here all the time. We talked to his campaign manager about that a few minutes ago.
You look to upstate, and both candidates came and campaigned very hard in upstate New York looking for votes. And while I believe Mr. Lazio has a lead in the upstate, the question is, does he have enough to overcome a heavy turnout in New York City?
And that, of course, is the question we won't have the answer to for a while. Tom Reynolds himself is running for Congress. His victory pretty much assured. That's one for the win column for local Republicans. But I'll tell you, there were a few more people in here a while ago. Some people are gathering now. They're really watching the monitors, watching the newscast, watching what's happening with the presidential race. Every time a state is declared one way or another, there's a lot of tension in this room, even at this hour.
I would imagine people, again, wanting to watch that, and that's going to determine that whole tone all evening long. They'll accept or live with some of the losses that they have to locally, but that presidential race tonight really sets the whole emotion there. I think.
And the Senate, yeah.
It certainly does, and you can already feel that here, even though it's quite early.
Okay. All right. Jane Flash will be checking back with you, of course, as we mentioned, continuously between 9 and 11 o'clock tonight. Give us a chance to really look at some of these races and talk to people in depth about the election 2000.
And Patrice Walsh covering the Democratic side of things. We'll be right back.
I think it's hard being 15. There's a lot of pressure to have sex just to be like everybody else. Because everybody wants to fit in. That's the toughest part. Fitting in and still being you. I guess that's why I like to dance. I can just be myself. Not me, not now. What smart kids say to sex.
A lot hinging on voter turnout, and we have some late figures to pass along in terms of what happened here locally, and some pretty impressive numbers when we take a look at that.
Still with a half hour to go, and these numbers are probably as of 8 o'clock this evening. 69% of registered voters in Monroe County turned out, which is pretty much what they expected, a high voter turnout.
60% of the city, that would be an interesting figure to check. Against
how that compared to 96.
How that compared to the last presidential. And in the towns surrounding our area, 74% voter turnout. A large voter turnout in the past. A lot of opinions as to who would benefit from that. And this time around, almost anyone's guess. But I heard a few moments ago, Vice President Al Gore still on the phone himself, calling people in some states.
Yeah, sure, and we heard Republicans calling Republicans saying, get out to vote. Yeah. So there's still time for people to cast their ballots. Right now we're going to go to New York City.
Yeah, Brian Washington standing by with the Hillary Clinton campaign.
That's right, Don. Campaign supporters are starting to gather here. However, Hillary Clinton has yet to make an appearance. And talking about her appearances, as you guys know, she made several appearances in the upstate New York area, particularly in Rochester. As a matter of fact, she was campaigning in Rochester yesterday. The upstate area is considered to be an important area to the campaign. It's an area that's heavily Republican country, as many of you know out there. It's an area that they're going to need to make some success in to win tonight.
Oh, upstate New York has been crucial. We started this campaign 16 months ago in upstate New York. We traveled around upstate New York, going to all 62 counties. Hillary was the only candidate in this race who really understood the needs of upstate New York and had a plan to improve the upstate economy. And we're very hopeful that we're going to do better upstate than Democrats typically do there because of all that.
Now, we understand Mrs. Clinton and her family are expected to be here at about 8 o'clock. So given the time it is right now, they should be here. But like I said, they have yet to make an appearance. However, we are here, and we will be here throughout the night to bring you complete coverage. Reporting live from New York City with the Hillary Clinton campaign, I'm Brian Washington for News Source 13.
All right, Brian. It'll also be interesting to get reaction from President Clinton to the eventual outcome of the presidential election. He'll be there, obviously, with his wife.
And a lot of attention on this throughout the night. Of course, ABC will have complete coverage for you as well. And looking particularly to some of these the turnout numbers, because I suspect by 9 o'clock we're going to see perhaps one of the largest turnouts that we've seen in this area in quite some time.
And what changed from this presidential election year from the last one locally was that Democrats increased their registered voters significantly. So the balance has shifted a little bit locally. We'll have to see if that's reflected in the races, Democratic and Republican in Monroe County.
And the whole issue of running a campaign. Republicans in this county courtship really targeting Bill Bristol. How he does tonight when the polls close is going to be interesting to watch. Polls closing in just 30 minutes from now. And, of course, we'll have complete coverage right here on News Source 13 and live on RochesterToday.com. All eyes on the race for the U.S. Senate in New York. The results at 11.
This is an ABC.
Chris was like my shadow. She was always there. For 3 years, she'd drive down from her job at Kraft to tutor me. My grades went way up.
For 40 years, the Philip Morris companies, including Kraft, have given to programs like Chicago's Off the Street Club, and our employees have volunteered their time to help make a difference in people's lives.
When she left to have a baby, I told her I hoped she'd have a daughter. She already did a great job helping to raise a son.
Working to make a difference, the people of Philip Morris.
Transportation advances again. The re-engineered, redesigned Chrysler Town & Country. The best minivan ever. During the Chrysler Holiday Sale, get 4.9 financing on Town & Country LX or low lease rates.
Tomorrow, The Drew Carey Show. Live. 3 time zones. Live. Big surprises. Live. And now a sneak peek. Live. Hello, anyone there? Oh, yeah. It's live. Drew Carey. Live. In 3 time zones. See you tomorrow on ABC.
This is a News Source 13 Election Special. 2000, The Vote.
Good evening, Don Alhart, along with Ginny Ryan. We'll be joined in a few minutes by Doug Ambrose doing some analysis as the voters leave the polls today. We're going to wait until 9 o'clock to bring you some of those results, but it certainly gives us an indication where things are going, and we can't share that quite yet.
Do expect to make some relatively early projections in some of the key races across New York State. Locally, we don't have any numbers in yet because we still have 8 more minutes to go before the polls close, but fairly soon we should be getting some numbers on some of the key races.
And we're going to be watching, I think, obviously the network watching the presidential race. We'll be watching the U.S. Senate race, but a lot of key races here in the Rochester area for the State Assembly, for County Court, for State Supreme Court, and Family Court as well that you will be interested in. All of that coming here at 22 and 52 minutes after the hour. But if you have a computer, all you have to do is go to RochesterToday.com, and from now on, in fact, from now until 11 o'clock. You'll be able to watch all of that beginning at 9 o'clock right on rochestertoday.com.
It is a first.
Yeah.
Among the other first, of course, is a sitting First Lady running for office. Just moments ago, the White House faxed newsrooms in New York State saying they expect the First Lady to speak to supporters in New York City between 9:30 and 10 o'clock tonight. News Source 13's Brian Washington is there, but at the Lazio headquarters is Peter Robbins.
And probably not good news for them to hear at this point. Peter Robbins at the Lazio headquarters, if you can join us now and bring us up to date if you can. Are you hearing any kind of scuttlebutt? Obviously, we can't share much before the polls close, but is there a tone or a mood that seems prevalent there at all?
Definitely intensity, Don. Since the last few hours have passed, the room here has definitely filled up a lot. They've started to play some music here, so it's a little louder than it used to be and a lot more people. And as I said, intense. A lot of people have gathered around some of the television sets here in the Grand Ballroom at the Roosevelt Hotel. They're watching a lot of the national returns come in. We've been hearing a lot of groaning as Gore won several states, as he was projected the winner in Florida and some other states. We've also heard a lot of clapping as Governor Bush won a few states. Everybody's staying very close to the television at this point because there is the possibility that this race will be called shortly. We thought we might be here well into the night before there was a declared winner. Now there's the possibility we could have a winner within the next half hour or so. So everybody is definitely staying very close to the TV sets and anticipating a winner perhaps very shortly.
All right, Peter Robbins by satellite from New York City, and we will be checking back with Peter not only here but on the web as well in the next couple of hours to let people know what the reactions are as those votes come in.
Right. We're also checking in with reporters locally at the Democratic headquarters. Democrats already had some celebrations, smaller ones, previous leading up to Election Day. They made some inroads in registration numbers, voter registration at an all-time high in Monroe County.
And Patrice Walsh is standing by there at getting ready to party a little bit, I suspect. Sounds like people are already partying in the background.
That's Democratic Party Chair Ted O'Brien declaring Hillary the victor in this race. A lot of cheering tonight. You know, even before this moment, they were talking about the momentum from all of Al Gore's key victories in several key states tonight. We had reaction from them then when Michigan came in. We've also heard reports of Pennsylvania, although I haven't heard that from ABC News. A lot of cheering here tonight, and I think we have some video from earlier tonight of some of the supporters and things that they were doing. Maybe not.
I would really love to see Bill Bristol win because we're in repudiation of that kind of gutter politics.
Of course, County Party Chair Ted O'Brien referring to the Bill Bristol, the county court race. Republicans ran an attack campaign against him. They think that Bill Bristol can pull this one out. They're also hoping for a victory in the 136th Assembly District. No Democrat has ever held that assembly seat, so that will indeed be a feat if that happens. But again, a lot of celebrating. It's trickling on down from the presidential numbers and the U.S. Senate numbers.
And they're celebrating something with the Clinton-Lazio race that we have not officially gotten to in the newsroom yet. We expect somewhere slightly after 9 o'clock to project a winner possibly in that race, Patrice.
Yeah, I had trouble hearing what he was saying. It did sound like they were declaring victory on her behalf. We'll have to talk to them and see where they're getting their information from.
Right. Okay, Patrice Walsh with 13 Live over at Democratic headquarters. One of the things that has made this a unique experience in terms of an election year, as always, for the past 3 years now, is our partnership with the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle and WXXI radio and television. We got together for the Voice of the Voter town meeting with Hillary Clinton. Rick Lazio never accepted the invitation, but that brought her here early. And it has also brought us a panel of experts that have gotten together and are here tonight to react to what's going on.
Yeah, a chance to kind of go behind the sound bites of all of this. And Gary Walker from WXXI joins us live now from their studios with more on what's on the voters' minds today. Gary?
Hi, Don. Hi, Jenny. As you mentioned, we are live in our WXXI studios to help provide analysis. So some of the returns we'll be watching closely tonight. We'll be joined in a few minutes by political analyst Mark Gore, James Bowers, and Barbara Conable. Also, we'll take you to our interactive studio. As you can see right now, Elisa Mara is in that studio, along with some panelists from our Voice of the Voter group you just mentioned. She's also monitoring cyberspace, where we, public broadcasters at least, are running a web chat and analysis on our statewide website. Voice of the Voter is also going to provide with some real live exit polling later this evening as the returns start coming in faster. So once again, we'll have some heavy hitters here, Barbara Conable, Mark Gore, and Jim Bowers. Don, Jenny?
All right, Gary, thanks. We'll check in with you. Look forward to more coming up in the next hour.
And speaking of exit polling, we're going to sample some of our own here in just a moment with Doug Embridge. We'll be right back.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin. You'll save time preparing hot foods and beverages with this durable, dependable hot water dispenser from InSinkErator and Chase Pitkin. Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
The car accident we had was very scary. My leg got hurt so bad I had to wear a cast on it for a whole year. It was hard to get around until one day a man from Amica came by with a red wagon just for me. Now Dad and I go for walks around the neighborhood, and my friends take turns pulling me around. Dad says even when I'm better, he'll still take me for rides in my wagon.
Find out more about us. Call 1-800-24-AMICA.
How far would you go to protect your children?
Yeah.
Would you run into a burning building? Would you face a charging grizzly bear? Would you drive a minivan?
Toyota Sienna did better overall in Insurance Institute crash tests than any other vehicle ever.
Life with you is so sweet. Love makes me.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin. Save on energy costs with this complete home winterizing kit from Frost King. Keep the cold weather outside this winter where it belongs. Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
It is 9 o'clock. The poll's officially closing. I'm sure there are some people in line here in Monroe County that will be allowed to vote if they have been in place. But officially, the votes have been are being tallied now. The polls are closed. That gives us a chance to share some information based on exit polling today.
It's been coming in all day, but we have waited until the polls closed to share that information with you. It tells a lot about what may happen at the end of tonight. News Source 13's Doug Embridge is in the newsroom now, and Doug, we have some projections to make.
We do. We have been hooked in all day to this computer next to me, which is tied into the voter news service, and working with WOKR and the voter news service. These exit polls are able to give us a very educated guess on who's going to win. In fact, we are to the point now of declaring two races. Let us begin with the New York Senate race, and the Voter News Service and WOKR now declaring Hillary Clinton the next U.S. Senator from New York State, replacing Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who has retired, and defeating the Republican challenger Rick Lazio. The other race that we can call for you now is the presidency in New York State. This is how the presidential race went in New York State. Not a surprise at all. Al Gore was expected to win New York, and indeed has this evening. Don and Ginny, I'm going through the numbers now. We'll be able to break it down a little more by who voted in terms of demographic information and that kind of thing. But for now, we can declare both Hillary Clinton and Al Gore winners in New York State tonight.
You're one step ahead of the bell.
Yeah.
I mean, the bell coming off from... and speaking of bells, my phone's ringing, too. But I'll try to get that.
You have always had too many gadgets.
This is a regular phone here.
What surprised a lot of us in the newsroom, I think, is how early in the evening this projection on the Senate race is taking place. We thought it would be a lot closer.
We were anticipating, all of us around here, the possibility of being up very late on the Senate race and not knowing. But it has now been declared. It is official. And one thing that we learn every year is that no matter what the polls say a few days beforehand, we are always in for some surprises on election day.
Do we get any indication, Doug, in terms of number? I mean, obviously they project a winner based on their exit polling. Is there a projection as to the margin by which the victory is going to be this early?
I can talk about that to some degree at this point, I believe. I'm going to have to go to another page of my computer, but I will be able to do that and break it down for you in all kinds of interesting ways.
We'll have plenty of time for that.
Okay.
What we're going to be doing, just to let people know along the line now, is that we're going to go back to ABC in just about 15, 20 seconds from now. But if you have a computer at home, RochesterToday.com. Ginny and I and Doug, all of us are going to be right in place, including our reports from local headquarters and New York City. And we will be live on the web continuously until 11 o'clock. Also back on Channel 13 at 22 and 52 after.
So we will see you on the web in just a few minutes. Right now, we rejoin ABC News for the rest of election night coverage.
Stay with us.
Looking to save more and spend less this holiday season? With the Jeep Holiday Sale, you can do just that. Because now, when you buy a 2000 Grand Cherokee with low 0.9 financing, you can save up to $53.25 in finance charges. Or on a 2001 model, save up to $29.39 in finance charges with 4.9% financing. So take advantage of the Jeep Holiday Sale today for savings that let you spend more on a real holiday priority, yourself. Check one out at your Jeep dealer.
Special 2000, The Vote.
All righty, welcome back to our News Source 13 coverage. Something different this election eve because we're also broadcasting live on our web, something we have not done before. So some folks are watching us on their computer screens, others are just joining us while they're watching ABC News.
And we're getting a lot of feedback tonight from some of you out there, sending us emails, and we'll share some of those. Can't promise you all the results you're looking for, depending upon where you are coming from, but we'll see what we can do, what we can. Doug Emmons is in our newsroom, standing by with a lot of interesting information, analysis of why people voted as they did in this election.
Right, and we should mention we declared, I think you just said it, maybe you didn't, we declared just a few minutes ago, right at 9 o'clock, that indeed Hillary Clinton has won the Senate seat in New York, and that Al Gore is the winner in New York State of the presidential race. And we have some numbers about that. The Voter News Service, I'm hooked into them all evening, and based on the exit polling they've done, they've come across some interesting stuff for us. So we'll begin with the Democrat, Republican, Independent breakdown. This is on the presidential race in New York State only. Democrats favoring Gore by 90% to 6%. Gore did manage to get 17% of the Republican vote to George W.'s 80%. Among independents and others, it was 50% voting for Al Gore and 38% for George W. Bush. They pretty much knew going into tonight that George W. Bush would not win New York State. Breaking it down by men and women. Men favored Al Gore in New York State, 52% to 41%. Women favoring Al Gore, 63% to 33%. This based on Voter News Service exit polling, and it will be updated throughout the evening as they get more data in. In fact, I'm expecting an update in just a few minutes. To the ethnic breakdown now, white, black, Hispanic. White voters favoring Al Gore, 51% to 43%. It was a clean sweep for him as he also took the black vote by a 91 to 8% margin and the Hispanic vote by a 79 to 17% margin. And last but not least, we break it down by age. And Mr. Gore was the winner in all the age categories in New York State. The teens, the middle-agers, and the 60-plussers, which would be the middle-agers plus, I guess is be the way to say that.
Something that we're all approaching very soon.
All right, is that okay?
We're going to join you in a moment. We're going to take a brief break, and then before we join Doug, we're going to go live to New York City for the Hillary Clinton headquarters to get reaction, of course, on her victory in New York State for the U.S. Senate seat.
First, we'll take a break, and we'll be right back.
The New York Lotto jackpot is now $10 million. Well, let me tell you, it's a ton of money.
The New York Lotto jackpot is now $10 million. You in?
I can't see.
Raise the seat.
I can't reach the pedals.
Lower the seat.
I can't see.
Raise the seat.
Need adjustable pedals? Well, it's just one of the many innovations you'll find on the all-new Ford Taurus. Right now, lease a 2001 Taurus for $249 a month for 24 months with $25.55 due at signing.
Lower the seat.
So come into your local Ford store and see how well Taurus adjusts to your life.
Verizon Wireless introduces Mobile Web, the wireless internet access you personalize on your computer, then use right over your phone. With a simple scroll and click, you can get just the information you want, the moment you want it. Mobile Web, only from Verizon Wireless. Join in.
Sign up now and get the first 3 months access free with annual contract.
We love to see you smile.
At McDonald's, you can celebrate a different way every single day. Because we're serving up all kinds of surprising tastes that are fast becoming crowd favorites.
And right now, you can get 2 all-time favorites, our flaky Filet-O-Fish sandwich for just 99 cents, or our tasty Egg McMuffin for just 99 cents too.
We love to see you smile.
So get to McDonald's now for these 99-cent deals.
Big night for Democrats. We just learned Gore has taken Michigan and Pennsylvania, really locking up now. Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania. That race really over in terms of the presidency. Obviously, it's over in terms of the race for U.S. Senate. And we're going to go to Brian right now.
That's right. We're starting big with the races. We still haven't learned the smaller local races, but right now we are starting with Brian Washington at Hillary headquarters in New York, where she has been declared the winner of the U.S. Senate race. Brian?
Yeah, and there is a little rally going on behind me here, Jenny. New York State has also gone the way of Al Gore and Joe Lieberman. So some state elected officials are rallying the troops here at Hillary Clinton headquarters. Even though the official totals aren't in, if you talk to anybody here at the Clinton campaign, they say that their candidate is a winner. Now, they also say that she won by sticking to the issues and converting undecided voters over to the Democratic Party, and they say it's a strategy that's worked, as evidenced by the totals, or I should say the early projections that are coming in.
When a person is campaigning and can really relate, really understands the problems that a family feels and understands the kind of help that will be needed and has a plan to deliver that help, that doesn't really translate into Republican or Democratic types of decision making. It translates into public service for people.
Mrs. Clinton has not showed up yet. We expect her to be here within the next couple of minutes, especially since she has been declared the winner. We will be here when she arrives, and we will bring to you what she has to say as soon as we have the opportunity to do so. Reporting live from the New York City campaign, I'm Brian Washington, News Source 13.
Thank you, Brian.
A noisy gathering going on right there. Right now, from Democratic headquarters in New York City, we're going to go to the local Democratic headquarters, where News Source 13's Patrice Walsh is standing by. Patrice, we look to have some numbers, some early numbers in the Monroe County court race. I don't know if you're aware of this yet, but right now, with just a little bit of the percentage reporting in, Renzi and Bellini are leading the race, and Keenan and Bristol are behind them.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
I have with me Ted O'Brien, the county Democratic chairman, and we were just talking about his surprise over the Hillary numbers. We'll get to that in a minute. Early figures in showing Bellini ahead and Renzi ahead of Bristol. And Keenan, obviously, early numbers.
I haven't heard that. I'm hoping that Keenan and Bristol will win, because I just think it would be a good thing, a sense to the community to repudiate the kind of gutter politics that went on in that race. And I think, the way the Monroe County Republican Committee ran those ads, I'd really like to see Bristol and Keenan win, but we'll see.
Obviously, you're hoping for a trickle-down effect. It's great to be a Democrat tonight, correct?
Oh, it's absolutely, this is, Patrice, I just became the county chair this year, and this is my first general election night.
So
it's just been absolutely fabulous to see Hillary Clinton work so well.
We'll talk to you in a few minutes when we get some more local numbers. Back to you.
Right. They can take all the credit now. He just took over, and he can take all the credit for the victories tonight. Certainly an exciting night, and we're going to have more as our coverage continues, not only on News Source 13, but on the web as well.
You gotta fabricate a new motive.
Richard Bay will cheat.
You snap. You hit her from behind. I never cracked. Objection.
He's going down again, this time with nothing to appeal. That's all. You have to leave.
At All New Practice, ABC Sunday, 10/9 Central.
Good evening and welcome back to our continuing coverage of the election 2000 and of course the big news for New York Staters. The First Lady has been elected senator and the concession is about to be given.
That's right. News Source 13's Peter Robbins is standing by at Republican headquarters with the Lazio campaign. Peter, what's going on there?
Well, Ginny, it's still a bit of a loud room here. There's still a lot of people milling around, but a bit of a somber mood at this point. We're waiting for Rick Lazio to take the stage here and address the crowd. We expect that to happen within about 5 minutes or so. We're told it might be at 10 o'clock at the top of the hour. But unfortunately, it looks like it will be a concession speech and not a victory speech. Certainly not the words that everybody wanted to hear when they came to Lazio headquarters here tonight.
All right, Peter, we'll check back with you perhaps when we get that concession speech. Of course, Mrs. Clinton has yet to address her supporters in New York City. We're waiting for that. We're also sharing with our viewers right now some election results as we get them.
We want to talk to Doug Embers, who's in the newsroom, kind of tracking not only the results tonight, but the reasons why people have voted as they have. And looking at some of the key races tonight. Don.
What is surprising the analysts that I'm speaking with at the Voter News Service tonight, Don, is the margin of victory for Mrs. Clinton in New York State. Voter News Service is projecting she will win the race 58% to 42%. And we should mention Mr. Gore won New York State easily, 61% to 35%. We've been breaking down some of the numbers. We have an update on the Senate race numbers. I don't know if they want to go to that now. If they do, I'm happy to pass it along. Among Democrats, Mrs. Clinton got 86% of the vote. Republicans, of course, carried by Mr. Lazio, 85% to 15%. Independents split down the middle on whether to vote for Clinton or Lazio. Some changes from what I reported earlier as we update these numbers. Among the men, Mrs. Clinton earned 50% of the vote to Lazio's 48%, and the women's 61% to 37% voted for Mrs. Clinton. If we break it down by ethnicity, white voters favored Mr. Lazio, 51% to 47%. The black vote went very strongly to Mrs. Clinton. Indeed, the black turnout is being credited as one of the factors in her bigger than expected win tonight. And the Hispanic voters favored Mrs. Clinton as well. And if you broke it down by age, which we did earlier, Mrs. Clinton carried all the younger voters. Indeed, now it comes out that she also carried voters in the 60-plus age group, at least according to the exit poll information that we have so far.
All right, Doug.
Thank you, Doug. We're going to get back to you in just a minute. We want to share some of the results because people are interested in some of the local races right now, and we're looking at the county court judgeship. We got about a third of that vote in, and Elmo Bellini and Renzi, the two Republican candidates, still ahead at this point.
Trailing in third place, Rick Keenan, and behind him is Judge Bristol at this point. Again, 33% of the precincts reporting the top two vote getters in that race will become Monroe County Court judge. Also in the 136th Assembly seat for New York State, we've got Christina Salzberg leading Joe Arrigo, 54% to 46%. That's with about 39% of the precincts reporting. And in the closely watched 135th New York State Assembly seat,
we have David Kuhn, who is ahead right now of Sean Hanna's challenge. We've got about 27% of the vote in, and David Kuhn with 57% of the vote. Sean Hanna, if I get the cursor out of the way, about 43% of that vote.
And in the race for a family court judge, we've got the two top vote getters right now, Ross and Rivoli. Behind them, tied with 23% of the vote, Hinman and Hoffman in that race with, still not all of the vote in, but those appear to be the top vote getters at this point.
7th Judicial District, David Egan, the Republican candidate, Alan Yaknin, the Democrat, and with about a third of the vote in, almost 30% of the vote, David Egan with 62% of the vote at this point in that race. We've mentioned some of the other ones. Joe Robach, an easy victory tonight over Mr. Faber. And
Assemblyman Gant returning to Albany along with Joe Morelli. Not terrible surprises in those contests. They were expected to win, but they are winning well in those districts.
We have, of course, all of our reporters standing by. We talked to Peter Robbins just a moment ago, who was at Rick Lazio's headquarters in New York City. Brian Washington will be standing by. Hillary Clinton was expected within the last half hour ago. The White House told everyone between 9:30 and 10 she would be making her acceptance speech. For one reason or another, apparently holding back, but the president is with her in New York City, and Chelsea as well, gearing up for this this moment tonight.
They tried to work in tandem somewhat with their opponent. They're waiting, I think, for Rick Lazio to make his concession speech before she declares victory. It must be a very uncomfortable phone call they have to make to each other to say, you go first. But apparently that's what they're waiting for in New York City at this point.
A couple of updates I see passing along here. Parrington, well, we've got about 3% of the vote in there, so Arnold's ahead of Kerry. And still a few more votes in now in the Monroe County Court, Judge, but apparently Bellini and Renzi still in the lead.
All right, and we'll be back with our continuing election night coverage.
Tap into better water, tap into Anderson.
Here's an experiment you can try at home. Wash your hands with soap and water and taste your finger. Does it taste like soap? If it does, you may have hard water and may want to consider an Anderson water system. Watch this. There's an equal amount of soap in this Anderson water and in this untreated tap water. I'm going to shake them both, and as you can quickly see, there's some bubbles in the untreated water, but there's lots of bubbles in the Anderson treated water. That's because in this part of the country, we have very hard water. And the more stuff that's in the water, the harder it is for things to dissolve. So instead of soap dissolving, soap creates a film which sticks to this flask, sticks to our shower stall, and sticks to our skin. And it's this soap film that causes dry skin. With an Anderson water system, we can help eliminate dry skin. You'll never have to use fabric softeners or dryer sheets again. You'll be able to go to a quarter of the soap that you used to use, and I promise you'll have great tasting drinking water. Call today for your free in-home analysis.
Tap, tap, tap into Anderson, Anderson Water Systems. Tap into better water, tap into Anderson.
How far would you go to protect your children?
Yeah.
Would you run into a burning building? Would you face a charging grizzly bear? Would you drive a minivan?
Toyota Sienna did better overall in Insurance Institute crash tests than any other vehicle. Ever.
Life with you is so sweet. Love makes me.
We're back. Our continuing coverage on RochesterToday.com as we bring you election coverage from Election 2000. A big night for Democrats across New York State and across the nation as well.
Right, this gives us a chance to kind of delve behind the headlines of Election Day, bringing you this webcast. And in doing so, we're joining with our partners at WXXI and the Democrat and Chronicle, our Voice of the Voter panel, to go behind the headlines, as we said, beyond the soundbite, to take a closer look at what voters were thinking when they pushed that lever down on Election Day.
And Gary Walker standing by over at WXXI to tell us what's going on, how the panel is reacting. And
hi, Don. Hi, Jenny. We're sitting here with Mark Guerin, with Jim Bowers from St. John Fisher. Mark Guerin, of course, is president of the Hobart William Smith Colleges and former White House communications director in the Clinton administration, and with Barbara Conable in the Congress for 20 years and the World Bank for 5 years. We're having a great discussion about politics on our air, and we're happy to join you. And right now, we're going to toss it down to Elisa Mara.
Gary, thank you. Hello, Don and Ginny, and I'm in the WXXI Interactive Studio with our Voice of the Voter citizens. Voice of the Voter, a part...
For me at the moment, I apologize. Sometimes the technology doesn't work. Florida too close to call. Okay, we're going to go project Missouri. Missouri for Mr. Bush. 11 electoral votes every election since 1900, but once. Missouri sided with the winner. Mr. Clinton won that twice, so we project now that Missouri is won by Mr. Bush. We project that Utah is going to go to Mr. Bush. That's the biggest winning margin for Republicans in the last two elections. We project that Mr. Bush is also the winner in Idaho with its 4 electoral votes, part of that solid block of Republican states in the mountain region. Montana, we project, goes for Mr. Bush, not been contested really at the presidential level this year. In Iowa, where it all begins with the Iowa caucuses at the very beginning of the campaign, state voted for Democrat in the last 3 elections. We now believe that is too close to call. And we also believe that in Nevada, it is too close to call. Mr. Clinton won this state in the last 2 elections. We're also now going to go back up to the Northeast and project that New Hampshire is going to go for Mr. Bush. New Hampshire for Mr. Bush. And we go on. Those are the electoral votes as the states look all across the country now. In the electoral vote now, Mr. Bush has 212, Mr. Gore has 173. And we're going to break away for just a moment so we can let some stations out in the West come and join us. And we hope you will stay with us for an election that is proving to be even more. And 49% for Mr. Bush. And here on the big map, you see those states: Florida, West Virginia, Arkansas, Iowa, Wisconsin, Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada still close to call and yet to be heard from. Oregon and Washington and California and, of course, Hawaii. We'll be right back after your local station checks in with the local results.
Individually, they are standouts in their respect. This is a national sales alert from Dodge. Effective immediately for 5 full years. Get 0 APR on 2000 Dodge Stratus and Intrepid, 0.9 APR on 2000 Dodge Dakota and Durango, and 4.9 APR on select all-new 2001 Dodge Caravans. See your Dodge dealer immediately, as 60-month financing can save you over $5,600. See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
Welcome, analysts. This was a challenging fiscal year for the company. Due to unpredictable weather, earnings are down. Welcome, analysts. But as everyone knows, you can't predict the weather. There's nothing you can do about it.
Thank you for holding customer support.
I just want to let you know I'll never buy anything from your company again.
I'm sorry, what can I do to help?
Help? I've called you guys 5 times, and every time I have to explain this problem over
Right,
again.
no,
Last
but-
time you asked me to
Yeah, no, but when
fax my invoice, then I emailed you. You thanked me for writing?
Could you tell me exactly what the problem is?
The problem?
Hello?
Business as usual is the problem. Siebel eBusiness is the solution. Siebel eBusiness for a customer-driven world.
Tomorrow, The Drew Carey Show. Live. 3 time zones. Live. Big surprises. Live. And now a sneak peek. Live. Hello, anyone there? Oh, yeah. It's live. Drew Carey. Live. In 3 time zones. See you tomorrow on ABC.
News Source 13 Election Special 2000, The Vote.
Welcome back, everyone, to our continuing election night coverage. We are getting more local numbers in. Among one of the more closely watched races is the race for Monroe County Court Judge, with 58% of the precincts reporting in. The 2 top vote getters appear to be Elmo Bellini and Judge Renzi from Henrietta. Those are the 2 Republicans. In 3rd place at this point, very close behind Judge Renzi, is Rick Keenan with the DA's office, and in 4th place is the incumbent, Bill Bristol.
And family court judge as well, if I can get those called up here again. The Republicans appearing to be ahead at this point. Let me take a look at some of the, although this one's going to be a close one too, but Rivoli right now 27, Ross with 26, Hoffman with 24, and Hinman with 23% of the vote. So closely together right now, but if we had to pick 2 winners at this point based on the results in so far, Rivoli and Ross are ahead at this point.
In the race for the 136th New York State Assembly seat, that was the seat vacated by Jerry Johnson earlier this year. These are 2 political novices facing off. Right now, with 39% of the precincts reporting in, Democrat Christina Salzberg is leading Joe Arrigo, the Republican in that race, 54% to 46% of the vote. That was a Republican seat, and right now the Democrat is leading in that race.
We haven't had a great, and probably the last half hour, these figures have not shifted, due in part because of the Board of Elections, and as we mentioned, some people standing in line when the polls closed at 9 o'clock tonight, and that making it difficult to close things down to get those results in. A lot of interest in the 135th Assembly District. David Kuhn, of course, seeking re-election to that. And again, at this point, with about, well, it's just moving a little bit. Well, still about 27, not even a third of the votes in, but Kuhn is ahead 57 to 43%, a margin of about 2,600 votes at this point. But that has not shifted in the last half hour, so I suspect as those votes are tallied and they begin to come in, we're going to see a dramatic change in that, either a wider margin or perhaps a closer race.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at another closely watched contest for the New York State Assembly in the 129th district that covers most of Canandaigua. These were two men who faced each other the last time. 7 votes separated them. This time, Brian Kolb, the Republican, challenging again, or being faced by Sam Casella, the Democrat. Kolb is leading 54% to 46%. And the votes coming in from Ontario County a little more thoroughly than they were from Monroe County in that race. So Kolb looks to be returning to Albany in a contest against Democrat Sam Casella.
And some of the other ones that are obvious tonight, Louise Slaughter winning re-election. You know, we don't mean to admit some of the ones, but there are some very ones that are expected. Jim Alisi winning re-election in State Senate. Senator Mike Mazzolio, David Gant as well.
Joe Morelli is returning to Albany, and Joe Robach as well.
There are some to the point of mine. We'll be right back after this.
So the color?
Brown.
Blue.
We'll take the brown.
Blue.
When you're choosing a car, Amica can help by explaining coverage options and discounts, making at least one decision easier.
Brown is the color of dirt.
It's also the color of my eyes.
Brown. Brown.
At Amica, we're known for quick, responsive customer service. Adding a student driver, for instance, takes only 5 minutes, or less time than it takes to teach one.
Rochester's changing, and the automobile business is changing too. We know. We are the ones who are changing it. At the Rochester Auto Collection, we believe that buying a Ford or Lincoln Mercury should be a positive, exciting experience, not a stressful one. So we make it easy. It just makes sense.
Right now at the Rochester Auto Collection, choose from thousands of Fords, Lincoln Mercuries, and used cars, all at guaranteed lowest prices and available for immediate delivery.
8 locations, open 7 days a week. The Rochester Auto Collection. It just makes sense.
We love to see you smile.
At McDonald's, you can celebrate a different way every single day. Because we're serving up all kinds of surprising tastes that are fast becoming crowd favorites.
And right now, you can get 2 all-time favorites, our flaky Filet-O-Fish sandwich for just 99 cents, or our tasty Egg McMuffin for just 99 cents too.
We love to see you smile.
So get to McDonald's now for these 99-cent deals.
We are back with the live continuing coverage of Election 2000 from News Source 13 and RochesterToday.com.
Now we're turning to our reporters covering the local races. We begin with News Source 13's Jane Flash at Republican headquarters. Jane, at the Crown Plaza. We're getting some results and more. What are you hearing?
Actually, some good news on the Brian Kolb race. The state assembly race you just talked about had the numbers up there. Republicans like what they see. It looks like he will retain his race, although the total vote is not in. Some other races we have not talked about tonight that were key races for Republicans. U.S. Congressman Tom Reynolds will return to his job. State Senators Jim Alisi and Mike Mazzolio also will return to their jobs. They ran with pretty much token opposition. So those are some victories to talk about here, but clearly the Republicans are not making some of the inroads they had hoped. They're particularly concerned with the Jerry Johnson seat, what will happen there with Joe Arrigo, whether or not he will be able to pull that off.
When all the celebrity's over with, though, Jane, the New York State Senate does remain Republican, and that's extremely important for Governor Pataki to have that legislative partner that has been able to force and push the Pataki agenda.
And that is State Senator Mike Mazzolio, who was talking about the big picture. We need to keep in mind the presidential race this year and certainly the state Senate race. The power will remain with Republicans, and that's what they're focusing on already tonight.
All right, Jane, thank you. We'll check back with you within the hour.
Right now, we're going to go to Patrice Walsh, standing by with the Democrats.
Not everybody can win with the margin that Joe Robach won by tonight, 77% of the vote. I think you won.
I'm thrilled to not only win and represent the 134th Assembly District, but that overwhelming amount of support and confidence people put in me really motivates me to work hard on their behalf.
And I know they're talking, too, about computer problems down at the Board of Elections, I guess slowing results down even more. That's what we're hearing. Not only the lines at the polls that we heard about, but also computer problems. So they're not getting as many numbers here, I know.
We've been watching those, and at some points there's 30% of the vote in, then it drops down to a lesser percentage of the vote in. So it's hard to... But you are right, that's 77%, but that, according to our computer, only third of the vote is in, and he's already ahead by 77 to 23%.
Not a big surprise. You know, this is a contest, Patrice, where they're talking about counting the absentee ballots. in the presidential election, and they very may well be as well in the race for Monroe County Court Judge and the race for Family Court Judge. So we'll keep you posted as we get more results in on this election
Watching
night.
those very closely, watching the state of Florida as we take you back to ABC for more national coverage.
Vote continues. Once again, Peter Jennings.
Well, to call it a cliffhanger at this moment may be actually an understatement, but take a look at the big map of the country and you'll see Florida, as you know, we've just said is now too close to call. West Virginia, we are now able to make a projection in West Virginia. We project that West Virginia has gone to George W. Bush. George W. Bush gets West Virginia, leaving Wisconsin, Iowa, and Arkansas, still too close to call. Not to mention the propositions and the referendums that people were so energized about today. We'll be back after that.
Samsung joyfully introduces the world as you make it, where our digital technology has one job: to make life more fun. We want to thrill you, connect you, charm you, satisfy you, and delight you.
Everyone's invited
to the Samsung digital experience.
Looking to save more and spend less this holiday season? With the Jeep Holiday Sale, you can do just that. Because now, when you buy a 2000 Grand Cherokee with low 0.9 financing, you can save up to $53.25 in finance charges. Or on a 2001 model, save up to $29.39 in finance charges with 4.9% financing. So take advantage of the Jeep Holiday Sale today for savings that let you spend more on a real holiday priority, yourself. Check one out at your Jeep dealer.
Thursday, this is not a movie. A mother and her infant baby, Tiffany, vanish without a trace. Now, 15 years later, the child is found. Could a suspected serial killer hold the key to the mystery? Who's been raising Tiffany all these years? The stunning twist on Primetime Thursday.
This is a News Source 13 Election Special. 2000, The Vote.
And good morning. We continue our live coverage here of the Election 2000, letting you know what's going on locally as we await the results from ABC.
That's right. It's a historical election year. Of course, the U.S. Senate race watched all around the country, especially here in New York State. And a sitting First Lady for the first time in the history of this country has won an election for the U.S. Senate in New York handily with 57% of the vote Mrs. Clinton took to Rick Lazio's 43% of the vote. Wasn't even close, as many people has expected.
A wider margin than a lot of people thought. And after Rick Lazio conceded today, a little bit later after that, Hillary Clinton, introduced by Chuck Schumer, shared her acceptance remarks with her followers.
Now, I've worked on issues like these for a long time, some of them for 30 years, and I am determined to make a difference for all of you. You see, I believe our nation owes every responsible citizen and every responsible family the tools that they need to make the most of their own lives. That's the basic bargain I'll do my best to honor in the United States Senate. And to those of you who did not support me, I want you to know that I will work in the Senate for you and for all New Yorkers. And to those of you who worked so hard and never lost faith, even in the toughest times, I offer you my undying gratitude.
First Lady Hillary Clinton tonight accepting the voters' decision to send her to the U.S. Senate.
And as we said just a few moments before that, almost simultaneously, Rick Lazio gathering with his supporters in New York City as well, thanking them for their help. And as he said, and we may hear, felt a little bit like the Mets.
And there's so many others who couldn't be here throughout the state who've done the same thing. People that are praying and pulling for us. And you know, it was not in vain. It was not in vain, I promise you that. It was for a very good cause. And I'm very proud of what this campaign has stood for, to put New York first, to give a voice to so many of you.
Rick Lazio conceding tonight in New York City, also urging people who supported him to unify now in the state and support the candidates who were elected this evening.
And tough, given the emotions, to get the people in that audience to do it right away.
Yeah.
I want to share some of the other results that have come in throughout the night. There are some surprises. County Court was one we were watching through most of the night. Bill Bristol heavily attacked by those Republican ads, and it looks like we have a split decision on this one. Elmo Bellini and Rick Keenan, the top 2 vote-getters for Monroe County Court judge. So we have a Republican and a Democrat, Rick, of course, the former prosecutor.
By very slim margins, and Bill Bristol coming in 4th out of 4 candidates. He was the long-time incumbent in that seat, but he has been defeated and will not be returning to county court. This was another tight race, the race for family court judge. Again, each party winning one of the 2 available seats. John Rivoli from Gates, a sitting judge, won 26% of the vote, and Democrat Marilyn Hoffman takes 25% of the vote. About 4,000 separate her and Hinman in this race. And the last candidate with the 4th amount of votes is Alan Ross. Alan
has made this journey a number of times. I'm not sure he will continue to pursue it or not. Marilyn Hoffman, of course, whose son had a very successful career and helped a little bit campaigning for her as well. Some of the other races, some of the assembly races, Joe Arrico, this is the Jerry Johnson seat, so there were 2 newcomers, he and Christine Salzberg in the 136th Assembly District. And throughout the night, we were kind of watching this closely because all the numbers came in first from Ontario County. Finally, we got them from Monroe County in that 136th Assembly race. And it was Joe Arrigo who had 52% of the vote and will be the new Republican state assemblyman from that district.
The seat stays Republican. There were no changes in the New York State Assembly in our area tonight. The other closely watched contest in the state assembly was that of David Kuhn and Sean Hanna. Sean Hanna, a Republican, giving David Kuhn a challenge, but he did not defeat David Kuhn, 58% to 42%.
Brian Cole winning in the 129th. That is our coverage for now. We rejoin ABC for more of their continuing coverage of the election 2000, the vote.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin.
The Bosch 10-inch worksite table saw's 15-amp motor features soft start for smoother startups and quieter performance. Check it out at Chase Pitkin.
Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
Mark Brown, this is Mark 1. Do you hear me? Mark Brown, crew to let 1 receive copy.
What the hell is going on here?
Red Planet, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
Ask a person with a tattoo and they'll tell you they got it because they like the way it looks. Ask a police officer. They'll tell you tattoos are an excellent tool in identifying criminals.
The number of Americans with tattoos has skyrocketed in recent years. We'll show you how police are taking advantage, using tattoos as a crime-fighting tool.
Tattoos as Crime Stoppers.
Friday at 6 and 11 on News Source 13. More local news, more local experience.
So the color?
Brown.
Blue.
We'll take the brown.
Blue.
When you're choosing a car, Amica can help by explaining coverage options and discounts, making at least one decision easier.
Brown is the color of dirt.
It's also the color of my eyes.
Brown. Brown.
At Amica, we're known for quick, responsive customer service. Adding a student driver, for instance, takes only 5 minutes, or less time than it takes to teach one.
What's happening in Rochester today is right at your fingertips. RochesterToday.com. Updated 5 times a day, 7 days a week. You can't get fresher information. RochesterToday.com. More local news, more local experience.
Take your seats. Class is now in session because we're all enrolled in the Earth School.
There is meaning in every experience on this earth.
Even if it's a little teeny tiny encounter?
Yes.
The class so many of us take, romance versus real love. Sometimes the coursework can be hard.
She saw me as the completion of the things that were missing in her life.
I had to go away and find myself.
But the rewards are infinite. Gary Zukav, tomorrow's Oprah.
Oprah, tomorrow at 4 on 13.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin.
Look at all these new and innovative ideas from Sterling. Now, whether you're remodeling or replacing, you're sure to find the right Sterling faucet at Chase Pitkin.
Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
News Source 13 at RochesterToday.com.
votes or more. And one Bush aide today told me that he thought they'd get at maybe as high as 340. So what has been called triumphalist theater that the Bush people were engaging in the last couple of weeks by exuding this air of confidence may actually have been true. They should be pretty nervous over there tonight as they watch the last few states come in.
Dean, you pointed out earlier in the evening that the people have showed up here outside the State House very early, and they've stayed. Who showed up?
Well, they're uniformly Bush supporters and Republican supporters. They were very wildly cheering for Kay Bailey Hutchison, who has been reelected this evening, and they have been in this sort of seesaw of emotions. Earlier tonight, they were rather...
We're going to interrupt the coverage from ABC right now to take you live to New York City. Rick Lazio about to make his concession speech. You see the governor of New York State is behind him, his wife at his side. We still wait to see who the next president of the United States is going to be, but we do know that the next senator from New York State is going to be Hillary Clinton, and Rick Lazio about to address his well-wishers now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you too. I do. I love you too. I feel like the Mets. We came in second. All right, thank you very much. Thank you. You're all terrific. You're all terrific. I just want to say, this crowd reaction was what I was hoping for. The speech was what I was not hoping for. I just called Hillary Clinton. No. I just called Hillary Clinton. No. I just called Hillary Clinton to congratulate her. I wished her. No, please. I congratulated her, and it's time for us to hold our heads up high and to unify our state and to stand together. It's time for us to stand as New Yorkers together. She has won this race. She has won this race, and it's time for us to march together forward. That's it. We are both, Pat and I, very, very proud of this campaign. Proud of the way this campaign was run. Proud of the way. Thank you very much. Proud of the fact that we gave a voice to so many New Yorkers who needed a voice in this race. We're proud of the fact that so many of you rallied 5 months ago to our cause. You gave of yourselves from the heart, worked tirelessly day and night, handing out literature, making those telephone calls, speaking to your neighbors, putting signs up on the yard or in those stores, everything that you did. And there's so many others who couldn't be here throughout the state who've done the same thing, people that were praying and pulling for us. And you know, it was not in vain. It was not in vain, I promise you that. It was for a very good cause. And I'm very proud of what this campaign has stood for, to put New York first, to give a voice to so many of you. And I want to thank some people that really deserve particular praise. And I begin with a man that really knocked himself out, that has gone through his own family
We are
situation.
listening now to Rick Lazio, and as you can see on the other side of your screen, New York Senator Charles Schumer is getting ready to introduce the newest senator from New York State, Hillary Clinton. A mixture of applause for different reasons on this election night. Rick Lazio on the right as he addresses his crowd, thanking them. And now as we transition over to Chuck Schumer as he introduces Hillary Clinton.
To join me, we have so many thanks to give tonight. But one is to a person I know I wouldn't be standing here as your senator, and the First Lady wouldn't be standing here as your senator-elect. the leadership, the intelligence, the compassion, the dynamism of a man who put our country back on track. First Lady. So we can get to Hillary. So we can get to Senator Clinton. I just want to say one thing. There's so much to say, but I'm not going to say it. But let me tell you, Hillary, as we know, started out this campaign, and then we heard all the naysayers and all the negative attacks and everything else. But you know what she did?
Joe, can you hear me?
She stuck to the issue. She talked about what mattered to New Yorkers. And you know what? She won this election not because she was First Lady, but because she worked hard. She won this election. She won this election the old-fashioned.
Joe, can you hear me?
She earned it. It is now my honor to introduce to you a man who has for 40 years in our public life been able to see where others could not see, to think thoughts that so many others were not unable to think, who had courage, intelligence, tenacity, and compassion. A man who influenced America so much to this day, and his writings and his legislation and his accomplishments will continue to influence America for decades to come. My friend, our great senior Senator, Daniel Patrick.
Do you want to hear from our next Senator, Hillary Clinton? So you ought. Hillary.
Beautiful farm, and 62 counties, 16 months, 3 debates, 2 opponents, and 6 black pantsuits later. and said that issues and ideals matter. Jobs matter, downstate and upstate. Health care matters, education matters, the environment matters, Social Security matters, a woman's right to choose matters. It all matters, and I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, New York. Thank you for opening up your minds and your hearts, for seeing the possibility of what we could do together for our children and for our future here in this state and in our nation. I am profoundly grateful to all of you for giving me the chance to serve you. I will do everything I can to be worthy of your faith and trust and to honor the powerful example of Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. I would like all of you and the countless New Yorkers and Americans watching to join me in honoring him for his incredible half-century of service to New York and our nation. Senator Moynihan, on behalf of New York and America, thank you. And I thank Chuck Schumer for his generous support and friendship. He has been and will be a great champion for the people of New York, and I very much look forward to fighting by his side in the United States Senate. I want to thank both of my opponents, Mayor Giuliani and Congressman Lazio. Congressman Lazio and I just spoke. I congratulate him on a hard-fought race, and I thank him for his service to the people of New York and Long Island, and I wish him, Pat, and their two beautiful daughters well. I promise you tonight that I will reach across party lines to bring progress for all of New York's families. Today, we voted as Democrats and Republicans. Tomorrow, we begin again as New Yorkers. And how fortunate we are indeed to live in the most diverse, dynamic, and beautiful state in the entire Union. You know, from the South Bronx to the Southern Tier, from Brooklyn to Buffalo, from Montauk to Messina, from the world's tallest skyscrapers to breathtaking mountain ranges, I've met people whose faces and stories I will never forget. Thousands of New Yorkers from all 62 counties welcomed me into your schools, your local diners, your factory floors, your living rooms, and front porches. You taught me, you tested me, and you shared with me your challenges and concerns about overcrowded or crumbling schools, about the struggle to care for growing children and aging parents, about the continuing challenge of providing equal opportunity for all, and about children moving away from their hometowns because good jobs are so hard to find in upstate New York. Now, I've worked on issues like these for a long time, some of them for 30 years, and I am determined to make a difference for all of you. You see, I believe our nation owes every responsible citizen and every responsible family the tools that they need to make the most of their own lives. That's the basic bargain I'll do my best to honor in the United States Senate. And to those of you who did not support me, I want you to know that I will work in the Senate for you and for all New Yorkers. And to those of you who worked so hard and never lost faith, even in the toughest times, I offer you my undying gratitude. I will work my heart out for you for the next 6 years, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the steady support of so many people. I want to thank Charlie Rangel, Nita Lowey, and the entire New York Democratic congressional delegation, my future colleagues. I'm very grateful for the support of our Democratic statewide elected officials and my good friends, Carl McCall and Elliot Spitzer. I want to thank Shelley Silver and all the Democratic Assembly members, and Marty Connor and all the Democratic members of the state Senate. I want to thank all of my upstate friends who couldn't be here tonight, including Tony Masiello, Bill Johnson, Jerry Jennings, Mike Breslin, Mark Thomas, all the county chairs and other elected officials. And thank you to all of my downstate friends, Andy Spano and the county chairs and all the elected officials, and particularly my friends right here in New York City, the citywide officials, the borough presidents, the city council members, and two great friends, former mayors Ed Koch and David Dinkins. And somebody just yelled, "Don't forget Long Island, we got beat up out there." And I am grateful to everybody from Long Island. And I want to thank all my friends in the state Democratic Party leadership, Judith Hope, Mike Schell, Denise King, and to all the hardworking labor leaders who really helped turn out the vote today, Dennis Hughes and Dennis Rivera, Randy Weingarten, Lee Saunders, Brian McLaughlin, Tom Hobart, Danny Donahue, Ed Malloy, and the other local, state, and national labor leaders whose support was so crucial. And I want to thank all of the people who started volunteering with me from the very beginning. You knocked on doors, you raised funds, you built rallies, you did everything necessary to bring us to this point. And today, I want to thank the 25,000 volunteers from all across the state who started phone banking, knocking on doors, giving out palm cards the minute the polls opened at 6 a.m. and didn't stop until the last voter left. You made a difference in this race, and I'm very grateful to you. And I want to thank Harold Ickes, my campaign chairman, Bill de Blasio, my campaign manager, and Gigi George, the coordinated campaign director. And I want to thank the best, hardest working campaign staff any candidate has ever had. And finally, I want to echo Chuck Schumer in saying that I know I would not be here without my family. And I want to thank my mother and my brothers, and I want to thank my husband and my daughter. Because this campaign was about ideas and issues, we have a lot of work to do, and I am looking forward to doing that work with all of you from one end of the state to the other. I tonight am just overwhelmed by the kindness and support that I've been given, and I will work my heart out for the next 6 years for all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you and good night. Thank you.
WOKR, Rochester. This is News Source 13 at 11.
Good evening, I'm Jenny Ryan. Welcome to Election Night 2000.
And I'm Don Alhart. We've been with you, of course, throughout the night, not only on TV 13, but on the web as we try to keep you posted in what right now, from a national standpoint, is still a cliffhanger.
They believe votes will be counted well into the morning hours. We're going to begin, of course, with the presidential election, where this is still too close to call, but it looks like Al Gore is winning narrowly in the race for electoral votes with 230 electoral votes to George Bush's 217 electoral votes. But the big state everyone's waiting on is Florida.
Yeah, waiting on Florida. Probably our viewers who did not see ABC coverage as we went to first to Rick Lazio and then to Hillary Clinton. California has now gone to Al Gore, so he picks up the 54 electoral votes there, a big boost for him. So that means Bush at this point has won 24 states, Gore 17. Here is the popular vote,
yeah.
And 51% to 49. So.
But what we're counting here is electoral votes, 270 needed to win. People had said this could be a contest where there is one winner for the popular vote and one winner for the electoral vote. This could be the case, but the votes will be tallied well into the evening, and they're talking about in Florida counting absentee ballots that number 500,000.
500,000, although they say most of those are probably Republican. Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Florida, Nevada, Washington, Wisconsin, some of the states that were waiting for some definitive word at this point in terms of the presidential race.
Just now on AP Across that Al Gore has won Maine. That was a toss-up state until just moments ago, and that will add to his electoral count, whether that is the one we have right now.
I think, yeah, I've got that in there. That was in the figures
in the electoral count.
In the figures that we had already shared with people.
This probably will go into the morning hours. Of course, you were just watching the history-making moment from New York City. First Lady Hillary Clinton, the first sitting First Lady, declaring victory in the race for the U.S. Senate against Rick Lazio. The margin here not as close as many had expected.
Yeah, 55% for Hillary Clinton and 45% for Rick Lazio. Some of the polls, and there were a number of polls as we got close to Election Day that had these a little close. Pete Robbins is standing by right now in New York City, where Rick Lazio spoke just a few moments ago, and obviously a somber tone now that people have left the podium.
Yeah, I tell you what, Don, people are starting to file out here at the Roosevelt Hotel, but when Rick Lazio came out on the stage, the way the crowd reacted, I guess you would almost think that he won. I mean, they were extremely loud. There was a lot of clapping. There was a lot of cheering going on. In fact, Rick Lazio even had a hard time getting started in the first few minutes of his concession speech because so many people were yelling, "Rick, we love you," and congratulating him on doing what they said was a great job of campaigning. Even in defeat, Rick Lazio had a smile on his face in the final few moments, and when he came out, you heard him say it. He said, "I feel like the Mets," cracking a joke here to the crowd, recognizing that he did finish in second place. And certainly he was a little disappointed, but he did not express any regrets about his campaign. He said he thought it was well run. He said it was not in vain. He felt good about the effort that he made. As far as what's next for Rick Lazio, your guess is as good as mine. He lost this election and gave up his congressional seat. So his political future, a little uncertain at this point, but we may learn more about that in the next couple of days.
Yeah, certainly quite a sacrifice for someone in making that race. And Peter Robbins, we thank you for your reports throughout the evening at the Lazio headquarters down in New York City. We want to run through some of the local races. A lot of you are interested, and we've had some interesting results here as we look at particularly some of the judgeships. I'm not sure which ones we're going to start with first. We will follow along. Here is the 135th New York Assembly District, and David Kuhn winning re-election. A strong challenge from Sean Hanna, at least in terms of publicity and visibility this year, but David Kuhn will be returning to Albany.
Next up in the race for the Assembly, this is one that changed dramatically over the course of the evening. Joe Arrigo, a political novice, the Republican in this race, looks to be defeating or has defeated Christine Salzberg for the 136th Assembly seat, 52 to 48% of the vote. Both political novices, but a Republican is keeping that seat. Now in the race for the 129th Assembly seat, Brian Kolb hangs on to his seat, 57% to 43% against Sam Casella, the Democrat.
A much wider margin this time, only 7 votes the first time when they had that special election. Monroe County Court Judge, this one has been going back and forth all night long, but the numbers are getting a little closer at this point, and Rick Keenan has moved into that second spot now. Elmo Bellini with 27% of the vote, Rick Keenan 26%, and Renzi is falling behind. Bristol, obviously the target of those Republican commercials, very much you know, coming on the bottom of the pack for that one.
The 2 top vote getters win the race for Monroe County Court Judge. This may be counted into the evening as well, into the morning hours.
Jane Flash is standing by at Republican headquarters, and we're just talking about the attack ads on Bill Bristol. I hate to use the word victory for them, but obviously they've accomplished something with that.
Well, they appear to have worked. This has been a funny race. If you could see the emotions in this room flip-flop back and forth about every 15 minutes when we get a new set of numbers, but clearly Republicans are celebrating now. The music is picked up here. They're preparing to take the stage. County Chairman Steve Manerick is there, and we are going to start hearing from some of these people. They are ready to declare victory in some of these races, including for County Judge Elmo Bellini, also for Brian Kolb, who is not going to be here tonight, but they are very proud of him that he was able to hang on to that seat. The Joe Arrigo seat is a really big thing. That flip-flopped, as you know, within the last half hour or so, and they had spent quite a bit more money, the Democrats did, and the Republicans were ready to concede that, but apparently now they don't have to do it.
I think, Jane, that probably was the computer problem, because the Ontario County votes came in a little more quickly, and the Monroe County votes kind of just dropped in there all in one big glop, so that pushed him right ahead. So
they were also saying here they had some problems with getting numbers out of downtown. I don't know if you've been noticing that.
Yes, they did, Jane.
Okay.
And they actually said people were standing in line outside polling places at 9 o'clock waiting to cast their ballot, which may explain why there was some delay. Thank you, Jane. Right now, we've got News Source 13's Brian Washington standing by live at Hillary headquarters in New York City, where she just declared victory.
That's right, Jenny. As you can see behind me here, she is still on the stage. She is being congratulated by other Democratic people. The crowd here is going crazy. They are definitely excited. They say that Hillary Clinton won this race by sticking to the issues. She won the election, according to Chuck Schumer, U.S. Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer, the old-fashioned way. She earned it. Now, Mrs. Clinton mentioned some of the issues that define this campaign. Those issues included jobs and education, issues certainly important to upstate New York. She also thanked her opponent, Republican Rick Lazio, and she indicated that he won, or rather fought, a very hard campaign, ran a very hard campaign. She indicated New Yorkers voted today as Democrats and Republicans, but now it's time for us to all come together as New Yorkers. And she said go forward and try and advance the state down in Washington. That is something that she is obviously going to be doing now that she has been elected New York's newest senator. Back to you.
All right, Brian, of course, we just heard her victory speech moments ago in New York City, and we can probably bring you more of that later on in our newscast.
Patrice Walsh has joined us now from local Democratic headquarters, and we get some reaction here as well.
I don't know if you can see behind me David Kuhn making his acceptance speech. A great win for him in a race, as we've said all night, many people expected to be much closer. Sean Hanna waged a good battle, spent about $250,000, but Mr. Kuhn will retain his assembly seat. Judge Bristol has also just entered the room, fans cheering Judge Bristol as he walked in. We do expect he will be taking the stage momentarily. Rick Keenan is also here. That's one of the races we've been looking at all night. Still a percentage point, I think, separating him and the third person. Correct me if I'm wrong. Judge Bristol is making his way to the podium. I don't know if you want to come back or listen to a little bit of what he's going to have to say.
I probably want to share a little bit, because that was probably one of the, and as we do that, maybe we can call up here for you, Patrice, some of the latest figures that we have, because it's been
it looks like it's very close, but it looks like right now the parties are sharing a seat on each Monroe County Court Judge and Family Court, each party taking one of the available seats in each of those races. The top vote getter, of course, in the Monroe County Court Judge race is Elmo Bellini, followed by Rick Keenan.
Yeah, and between Keenan and Renzi, a good 5,000 votes. So I think at this point, it looks as though we've got a split there. And Rick Keenan, again, some name recognition when you consider all of the cases that he's had, the high-profile cases, and I think a certain sincerity with which he comes across, even in the commercials that came through for him.
But the headline on this race perhaps will be longtime incumbent Bill Bristol is defeated in the race for Monroe County Court Judge. Of course, Patrice said he's entered the room, and perhaps we can go back to that when he does take to the podium.
Doug Emmons has been in our newsroom all night, looking at the voter news service, the kind of analysis of what's happened, and kind of interesting to look at the results, particularly in that Senate race.
Yeah, the Senate race is where we've been focusing our energy tonight, Donna. I think the headline, the topic sentence is that the margin surprised many of the people who are watching this race closely. It probably will end up around 55% to 45% for Mrs. Clinton. 56% of the Jewish vote went to Mrs. Clinton. Some analysts predicted she needed 60% of it to win. Well, they were wrong, certainly. Interesting, and this one you got to follow me with. A majority of the people who said they voted for a particular candidate said they voted for Mrs. Clinton. A majority of people who said they voted against a particular candidate said they voted for Mr. Lazio. I don't think that surprises anyone, but it probably confirms the thought that we had because of Mrs. Clinton's polarity, the strong positives and the strong negatives, that indeed there were a number of people who were voting against her rather than for Mr. Lazio. She did very well in New York City. She won the upstate cities as well, and one analyst told me tonight he thought she did a good job of making the upstate economy her issue when indeed many of the analysts thought it should have been a Republican issue.
All right, Doug. Well, as you said, the narrow of margin much farther apart than many had expected. We're keeping an eye, too, on the Transportation Bond Act, with about a third of the precincts reporting in. The division has narrowed somewhat. 53% no on the Bond Act, 47% yes, so that could change as more votes are tallied in that race. And we also want to talk about voter turnout in this election. It was 69%, much higher than the last presidential election in 1996.
And, looking at that, breaking it down a little bit, too, and I'm not sure if we have the breakdown figures, but I think turnout both in the city and in the county, outside, and some of the towns up across the board, so it's hard to get that.
Well, that could be in part because of the record number of registered voters in Monroe County this year, and more Democrats registered this year than Republicans. So we are still sorting out the numbers here, and we will have more for you as our newscast goes on. Right
now we want to take a look. One of the reasons we can probably credit with people turning out today is a beautiful day to get out and do most anything, and certainly no weather standing in the way to get people to go out.
Weather certainly I don't think was a concern with anybody, and when election day rolls around, I guess this is sort of the kind of day you want, a lot of sunshine, and I do think that we'll carry some sunshine in the day tomorrow before the changes start to head our way. Let's look now at our current, sorry, I can't see that far, current conditions. 45 degrees our temperature right now. Winds are from the southeast. Humidity now at 76%. The pressure steady, and our dew point is at 38 degrees. So certainly with some cloud cover out there, we're not cooling down as quickly as we have over the last couple of nights. Today's high 54. Then after a low last night of 27 degrees, we will not get that cold tonight. But there's some very winter-like conditions just back to the west, in through the Dakotas, Montana, and even down in the Texas Panhandle, where they saw a lot of snow during the day today, almost blizzard-like conditions, up through the Dakotas. It does warm up as it heads this way, and you can see fairly mild air in through the Ohio Valley, and that's what we'll head our way for tomorrow. So it will not be extremely cold tomorrow, but some of this cold air will creep in here then for the weekend. It's just going to take it a while for it to get here. Across the country, you can see just patchy clouds 12 hours ago, but then very quickly we have now some more clouds that have pushed in. A system that is developing to the south. This one becomes important to us because as it heads our way, it will bring us some moisture. We will see some rain out of that system. For Wednesday and into Thursday, you can see just how slowly that cold front is moving, as it does move in here late Wednesday night, and then into Thursday morning, we'll start to see some light showers excuse me, again, as that cold front does push through, the rain will end, but this low pressure system sliding up the frontal boundary will keep the rain into Thursday night, probably even into Friday, and then a little system back to the west could kick through and bring us a shower or two on Saturday. So a lot of changes going on. We do have some rain headed our way, but tomorrow looks like we will see dry conditions for at least another 24 hours. Not quite as cold tonight. Our low about 40 degrees for tomorrow. We're looking at 42 to start the day, 59 degrees with some sun, mostly cloudy skies during the day, and then our 3-day forecast. Told you about the rain for Thursday, some showers, not a lot of rain for Friday. Better chance that we'll see a little rain than on Friday, and cooling down at 50 degrees. And then for Saturday, we will see some rain showers also, and 48 degrees as of now. Sunday appears to be the better of the 2 weekend days.
And now the election day over, we can start thinking about snowfall, right?
I always use kind of the benchmark about November 15th. Anytime after that, we can really get a frog choker in here. But before that, doesn't mean it can't snow before that, because it does even in October. But I always look at the 15th being kind of a benchmark.
We got a frog choker going on here in the national. Right now, it's one electoral vote separating.
Yeah.
Gore has 230 electoral votes. George W. Bush, 229 electoral votes. We still have a number of states we're waiting to hear from, including Florida. Florida, a little mistake in some of the data earlier, so that's been withdrawn. It was a state that they gave to Gore initially and brought back. So 26 states for George Bush, 17 states for Gore, but only 1 electoral vote separating him at this particular time.
This is going to be going into the early morning hours.
Yeah. We're going to be right back.
You're watching News Source 13, honored with 2 of the highest awards in electronic journalism, the Edward R. Murrow Awards for Overall Excellence and Best Newscast in the Nation.
Fingerprints, DNA, and tattoos. Find out how tattoos help in identifying criminals. Tattoos as Crime Stoppers.
Friday at 6 and 11 on News Source 13. More local news, more local experience.
News Source 13, brought to you by Blue Choice.
After conducting 60 exhaustive tests and evaluations, a rare medical condition was diagnosed. Upon thorough review, the National Committee for Quality Assurance awarded Blue Choice its prestigious seal of excellence. Fewer than 10% of the country's HMOs qualify. It's yet another national honor for Blue Choice and our physician partners. Blue Choice. Our quality has made us Rochester's favorite care.
What's happening in Rochester today is right at your fingertips. RochesterToday.com, your most up-to-date source for local news and information. Weather, business news, medical reports, movie listings, and some fun with Hey Stan. Contests and the question of the day. Updated 5 times a day, 7 days a week. You can't get fresher information. RochesterToday.com, more local news, more local experience.
How is that steak, man?
Just the way I like it.
Ford F-Series, for people who like it tough. And during truck season, you'll love the great deals on all the trucks built Ford tough. Only at your local Ford store.
Verizon Wireless introduces Mobile Web, the wireless internet access you personalize on your computer, then use right over your phone. With a simple scroll and click, you can get just the information you want, the moment you want it. Mobile Web, only from Verizon Wireless. Join in.
Sign up now and get the first 3 months access free with annual contract.
Taking care of Mom's a thankless job. She thinks we own stock in the electric company. And she's so busy, she never has time to eat a good lunch.
Well, Betty Crocker's changed all that with these brand new Bowl Appetites. Add water, microwave it, and in minutes, a lunch made just for you, like pasta Alfredo.
And she finishes every last bite. Delicious.
New Betty Crocker Bowl Appetit Lunch Bowls. What a great idea.
You're watching News Source 13 at 11 with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Bill Peterson, and Mike Catalana on sports. News Source 13, more local news, more local experience.
Fascinating stuff here.
Yes.
We are going to try to keep you up to date throughout this before we go back to the network, but George Bush leading the popular vote right now, 49 to 48%. He's one vote behind in the Electoral College. We're waiting for other states, including Florida, which will have a very key factor here.
They're going to be counting absentee ballots, they expect, in Florida.
Among those who have been watching all of the returns throughout the night, our Voice of the Voter assemblage over at WXXI, headed by Gary Walker.
Thanks, Don. Thanks, Jenny. Like you, we're putting on another pot of coffee because it's going to be a late night here. What we're doing right now is I'm talking to Jim Bowers, a political science professor at St. John Fisher College. And one of the things that have interested the whole panel throughout the evening is now that Hillary Clinton is the junior senator from New York, how will she comport herself when she is in the Senate? And there was disagreement on some of the experts' opinions and how she will be accepted in the Senate, whether or not she will be received warmly or a target. And Jim, let me just ask you quickly, is she looking at this as a road to the presidency or the beginning of a serious Senate career?
You know, I think we have to take it at its face value. She wants to be a senator from New York State. And to do that, she's going to have to basically borrow the Chuck Schumer model and do what she did in this election. And I think she will be throughout New York State quite a bit. I think she'll go to the Senate, try to get on committees that reflects her issue positions, will be a national senator when it's relevant, but will also learn how to adapt to that institution. And I think initially she wants a Senate career.
Okay, and one thing's for sure, nobody who has ever entered the United States Senate has had that kind of star power or that kind of resume before. Don, Jenny?
Be interesting to see. Many stories to be told yet. News Source 13, working in conjunction with WXXI. Gary Walker, thank you very much.
We want to thank our Voice of the Voter panel throughout the year because they really guide a lot of the things you see here and read in the newspaper as well. The Democrat and Chronicle, one of our partners with that too.
Gives us some good perspective on the races as we take a look at this election day. Right now we're going to take a look at the numbers on Wall Street today.
All right, let's do that. Wall Street today, kind of a mixed day, I believe, as I recall, as we went into this, but not only was the Dow down by 25 points, the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 off by a fraction as well. We take a look now at some issues of local interest. Bausch & Lomb today off 63 cents at 38.63. Chase was off 56 cents, 44.94. Eastman Kodak today up $1.06, $47.88. Don't have Tootsie Roll for you, left in the other room, but I think they were up 13 cents today, as I recall. IBM up $2 a share at 102.31. And Xerox up 13 cents a share today, $9.81. We'll have your lotto numbers for you, too, in just a moment.
Good evening. I'm Scott Deller. Welcome to Tuesday, November 7th, Take 5 drawing being observed by an auditor from KPMG. There were 2 first prize winning tickets sold in the New York Millennium Millions drawing worth $65 million each. The winning tickets were purchased in Kings and Chemung counties. Wednesday's lotto jackpot is $10 million. Tonight's winning Take 5 numbers are 9, 1, 23, 3, and 38, making tonight's winning Take 5 results 9, 1, 23, 3, and 38. Thank you and good night.
Because every moment is worth celebrating. Because every achievement is a victory. HSBC is finding more ways to help you reach your dreams. After 150 years in New York, our greatest accomplishment is still what we can do for you next. HSBC, your world of financial services.
I'm Kathy Kriz. Coming up tomorrow morning, starting at 5, we'll have a wrap-up of all the election results, and Stan Monroe gets dramatic again.
Watch News Source 13 this morning. More local news, more local experience.
How far would you go to protect your children?
Yeah.
Would you run into a burning building? Would you face a charging grizzly bear? Would you drive a minivan?
Toyota Sienna did better overall in Insurance Institute crash tests than any other vehicle ever.
Life with you is so sweet. Love makes me.
Craving more taste? More variety? All you need is 99 cents. Check out the new 99-cent BK Cravers menu with 8 items including our Bullseye Barbecue Deluxe, Chicken Tender Sandwich, and tasty jalapeno poppers. Just 99 cents every day.
Big brother, little brother. Car keys, cartoons. Plays in a band, plays in the sand. 6'3", 3'6". What brings these two to the table? Honey Nut Chex. The taste of golden honey and nuts that's sweet, but not too sweet. So everybody likes it. What'll they agree on next? Maybe girls? Maybe in a couple of years. Honey Nut Chex, bringing families together. For breakfast, anyway.
Oh, yes, a brilliant move. Galvez scampering across the goal to stop it. They just couldn't seem to get enough players forward before. He's showing good fluid movement. The right, the left. This is another aggressive charge down the flank. He's timed his run to absolute perfection. 2 defenders to beat. He's passed one. Is it looking like a chance? Yes, he takes the shot in.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
I think I can.
I think I can.
With your help, we believe we can make Rochester the healthiest community in America by the year 2020. Strong health. Anything's possible.
Craving more taste? More variety? All you need is 99 cents. Check out the new 99-cent BK Cravers menu with 8 items including our Bullseye Barbecue Deluxe, Chicken Tender Sandwich, and tasty mozzarella sticks. Just 99 cents every day.
And now take a look at the daily and Win 4 numbers from your New York State Lottery. Daily number 608, the Win 4 combination 5788. It is Tuesday, and we take you to Schenectady now for your Tuesday night. We already did that. There's just the daily and Win 4 numbers. We already saw the other ones, so that means sports will be up in just a minute.
Now, sports from News Source 13. News Source 13 Sports. More local news, more local experience.
Yeah, there is sports going on tonight, and Marty Baran is back. The free agent goaltender signed a multi-year deal with the Sabres. Now, he will practice with the Amerks tomorrow, and there's a good possibility that Marty will be in goal for the Amerks tomorrow night when they host the Hershey Bears. A little soccer going on tonight, too. Section 5 Class A boys final. Penfield and Gates Chili in the night, and Penfield's Josh Bolton gets the goal right there to make it 1-0 Penfield. But late in the half, it's Gates Chili's Jeff Colavecchia slides it home. We are even. We're going to overtime. Second OT, third OT. Finally, in the fourth overtime, Kevin Weiss, the game winner, in the net for Penfield. Let them celebrate tonight. They are the Class A champs with a victory tonight over Gates Chili in 4 overtimes. Also, girls' state qualifiers tonight. Aquinas beats Livonia, and Jasper Troopsburg advances on penalty kicks with a 0-0 tie with Genesee Valley. Pittsford's Ryan Blackwell was a star at Syracuse University, graduated this past spring. Tonight, he was back playing against the Orange in a preseason game, playing for an AAU team. Upstate AAU played 20 minutes tonight with the Jam there. 4 points, 5 rebounds for Ryan. Syracuse looking pretty good tonight. Billy Seelick on the steal. The feed to Alan Griffin, Queth Dwaney for the Jam.
And then later it's Syracuse on the offense. They're going to get the ball to Deshaun Williams, who had a strong night. 5 3-pointers, 17 points on the night. Syracuse starts the preseason with a win over the upstate AAU team. And the Knicks on the road in Milwaukee tonight. Knicks get it inside. Watch Marcus Camby on the rebound and the jam. Knicks with the early lead. And then in the closing seconds of the first quarter, it is the Knicks again. Allen Houston with the three-pointer. And it goes. The Knicks win on the road tonight, beating Milwaukee the final 103-89. The Celtics lose tonight. A couple of hockey scores for you tonight. We project the Rangers over Edmonton, and the Islanders win it 2-1. And we know what's going on tomorrow. We'll find out how healthy Rob Johnson is and what's going on with the quarterback situation with Mr. Flutie.
Well, we know Flutie picked a winner.
That's right. He was on stage with Hillary Clinton yesterday, and of course she's the winner tonight.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Doug.
We're going to be back, Doug. We're going to have Doug. It's been a long night. Doug is coming back in a moment, and a complete wrap-up of all the election night results when we return.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin. For kitchen, bath, or shower, choose the innovative designs, lifetime warranty, and worry-free finish of a Delta faucet. Find your Delta faucet at Chase Pitkin. Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
You can work up quite an appetite saving the planet from certain disaster. So what do you give a superhero for dinner? Something brand new. Delicious double cheese pizza from Hamburger Helper. With creamy cheddar and mozzarella toppings poured over lots of hearty rotini pasta that'll make the whole family happy. Now who's the hero? New double cheese pizza, one of 3 new flavors of Hamburger Helper from Betty Crocker.
The car accident we had was very scary. My leg got hurt so bad I had to wear a cast on it for a whole year. It was hard to get around until one day a man from Amica came by with a red wagon just for me. Now Dad and I go for walks around the neighborhood, and my friends take turns pulling me around. Dad says even when I'm better, he'll still take me for rides in my wagon.
Find out more about us. Call 1-800-24-AMICA.
35 million miles from Earth, on the desolate surface of a hostile world, terror strikes. Red Planet, rated PG-13, starts Friday.
Hello?
Hi, where are you?
I'm on my way home.
What should we do about dinner?
I'll take care of it. I'll be home in 10 minutes. I've got us some dinner.
How about some food worth slowing down for?
Hi.
Hi.
Like the Market Feast, a whole double marinated chicken, 4 regular sides, 3 cornbread, and a whole apple pie for just $12.99. And place your Thanksgiving orders today, and don't forget that Boston Market caters. Boston Market, slow down.
It's allergy season. Or Allegra season. Enjoy your world with once daily Allegra for people 12 and older. Side effects are low and may include headache, upper respiratory tract infection, and back pain. Ask your doctor for more information about Allegra and turn this allergy season into Allegra season.
Hurry in now to S&K's spectacular November to Remember sale. Designer suits, sale price 2 for $350. London Fog all-weather coats, now $99.97. 100% camel hair sport coats, now $129.97. All on sale now at S&K.
New ideas for your home? Here's a first look from Chase Pitkin.
Save on energy bills behind this secure storm door from Cole Sewell, featuring solid brass lock set with deadbolt. It's on sale now at Chase Pitkin.
Get a first look at Chase Pitkin.
A long evening.
Yeah, with 15 minutes to go before the new day. We still don't have a winner in the presidential election race. We were just talking. This will very likely go into the early morning hours of many undecided states and absentee ballots that have yet to be counted.
We do have some winners, and we're passing those along right at the bottom of your screen. Just to highlight a couple as we go to Doug Embridge in the newsroom. David Kuhn retaining his seat. Brian Kolb retaining by a much wider margin the 129th Assembly. Joe Arrigo with the Jerry Johnson seat, defeating Christine Salzberg. And David Egan at State Supreme Court. County Court, did we end up with Elma Bellini and Richard King?
Yes,
that was
we
the
did.
last figures, those two split, but Bill Bristol definitely losing that one.
It's close, but it looks like Keenan is the victor along with Elma Bellini. And as we said earlier, each party took a seat in the race for county court judge and family court judge.
Yeah,
so
family
they're
court here
splitting the race, so to speak.
Family court in Yashmi now, Rivoli, and
Hoffman, Marilyn Hoffman is the other apparent winner. They're very close. Just a percentage point separates
we got about 99%
the candidates
of the
in
vote
that race,
so
4 of whom are vying for 2 seats. News Source 13's Doug Emblich has been watching the exit polling data we've been receiving throughout the evening and joins us now with kind of a final thought or two.
Yeah, a brief summary, I guess. The big surprises for the analysts that I talked to at the Voter News Service were Gore's margin of victory in New York State, 60% to 35%. That's the projected outcome. Mrs. Clinton's projected outcome, 55% to 43% over Mr. Lazio, certainly a bit stronger than the polls might have indicated before the race, before the election. And Don, you asked me earlier about comparisons to Bobby Kennedy's out-of-stater race in 1964. He defeated Kenneth Keating, as you know, that night, but it was a much, much closer race. He trailed Lyndon Johnson, the presidential candidate, by more than 1 million votes. Mrs. Clinton will probably do a little better than that in her comparison to how Al Gore ran. It was a much closer race. Mrs. Clinton winning upstate, possibly. Certainly won the New York City area tonight, got 56% of the Jewish vote. In fact, one thing that is interesting to me in the exit poll, 56% of the moderate vote was Mrs. Clinton's tonight. So that's the headline, I guess, is the margin of victory for Mrs. Clinton.
Not as close as many has expected. Looks like the bond issue is going down in New York State, 53 to 47% of the vote. Doug, maybe or maybe not, you'll be sitting there doing the morning news and know who is going to be the 43rd president of the United States, but it may not be known at 5 o'clock in the morning either.
I'm going to stay here and be ready for that morning broadcast. In fact, I'm going to call Kathy Kriz right now and make her come in, too.
And watch the results as they trickle in from across the country.
All right. Thank you, Doug, for your help all night.
Good night.
Thanks also to all of our reporters, Patrice, Peter Robbins, Jane Flash, who have been out and missing one.
And Ryan Washington covering the Hillary campaign.
Tonight. I'm thinking if I were home right now as a viewer saying, we're not sure who the president is, I've seen enough of you guys all night telling me who won locally. I would like to get back to the network and find out what's going on there.
And you can check out rochestertoday.com for other election results. We thank you for joining us this evening.
Have a good night for Election 2000.
More tomorrow morning starting at 5 a.m.
More Rochesterians get their news from News Source 13 than from any other source. News Source 13, always on at rochestertoday.com.
We're the Ackerley Group, outstanding media and entertainment companies.
Dress dirty, Alice? Huh?
See this Gideon's Crossing. ABC Wednesday, a great night of television.
They now are the #1 team in the country.
Oklahoma, Texas A&M, or Purdue, Michigan State, Saturday on ABC.
The 2000 vote continues. Once again from New York, Peter Jennings.
Welcome back to our coverage. I want to show you right now the popular vote in Florida. We know that on the national level, the popular vote is running about even at the moment. Mr. Gore getting 48% and Mr. Bush 49%. But the popular vote in Florida is what counts, as Florida has become so important this late in the game.